The kingdom of God is not where you were taught, the forbidden secret hidden within you. There is a statement attributed to Jesus Christ that, if taken to its full implications, does not merely challenge religion, it threatens the entire structure of spiritual control built over centuries. And what is most unsettling is not what it says, but the fact that you have probably read it before and never realized what was truly being said. Now the question is no longer whether you believe, but whether you are ready to understand. In Gospel of Luke 17:21, we find a seemingly simple declaration: the kingdom of God is within you. At first glance, it sounds almost poetic, comforting, even spiritual in a superficial sense. But when you begin to dismantle this sentence layer by layer, it stops being comforting and becomes deeply unsettling. Because if the kingdom is within, then everything that was built outside may be nothing more than distraction. From the beginning, we were conditioned to search for the divine in external structures, temples, institutions, leaders, rituals. Everything points outward. Everything directs the search towards something distant, elevated, unreachable. But this statement breaks that pattern in a quiet yet radical way. It does not shout. It does not impose. It simply states, and in that statement lies a rupture. Access to the divine is not outside. It never was. And this is where the tension begins to rise. Because if this is true, then the entire model of spiritual mediation collapses. There is no need for intermediaries to access what is already within. There is no need for complex systems to reach what was never distant. And this idea, when taken seriously, is not only liberating, it is dangerous to any structure built on control. Now look more closely. The term Kingdom of God does not need to be understood as a physical place. Within the Gospel of Luke itself, the concept appears in a symbolic way, almost like a state, a type of reality that is accessible yet not visible to ordinary perception. And that changes everything. Because if the kingdom is a state, then within you means it depends on perception, not location. This leads to a disturbing possibility. What if most people never access this kingdom, not because it is hidden, but because they have been trained to look in the wrong direction? What if the greatest deception was not hiding the truth, but redirecting the search? The dystopia reveals itself here, because a system does not need to lie directly in order to control you. It only needs to ensure that you never ask the right question. And in this case, the forbidden question is simple. What if what I am searching for outside is already within me? But there is an even more unsettling detail. In some translations, this same passage can also be rendered as, "The kingdom of God is among you." And this creates a fascinating ambiguity. Within or among, internal or collective. And perhaps the answer is more complex, both. Because a state of individual consciousness can also manifest as a shared reality. And this opens the door to an even deeper interpretation. The kingdom is not a place, but a frequency of perception that can emerge both within the individual and between individuals. Now consider the implications. If the kingdom is a way of perceiving, then it can be present right now and still remain unseen. This connects directly with other sayings attributed to Jesus Christ, such as the idea that many have eyes but do not see. This is not about lack of access. It is about lack of recognition, and this shifts the focus entirely. The question is no longer, how do I reach the kingdom, but why am I not perceiving the kingdom that is already here? This inversion is subtle, but devastating, because it places responsibility on the observer, not on the path. Now take this even further. If the kingdom is within, then it cannot be imposed. It cannot be transferred. It cannot be sold. It must be recognized. And recognition requires a kind of attention that is not passive. It requires presence. It requires breaking away from mental automation. It often requires abandoning carefully constructed certainties. And perhaps this is precisely why this statement has rarely been explored to its full depth. Because taken seriously, it does not strengthen systems. It dissolves dependencies. It does not create followers. It creates conscious individuals. And conscious individuals are, by nature, unpredictable. But there is a risk here, because when people hear that the kingdom is within you, it is easy to fall into a shallow, almost motivational interpretation. Something like, you already have everything you need. But that would only be another layer of distraction, because accessing this within is not comfortable. It is not automatic. It is not guaranteed. It is a process that may involve confrontation, deconstruction, and in many cases, a kind of inner crisis. Because looking within is not just about finding light. It is also about facing everything that has been avoided. And perhaps that is why most people continue looking outward. Not out of ignorance, but out of protection. Now, if you connect this passage with other statements in the Gospel of Luke, a pattern begins to emerge. A constant invitation to shift the axis of perception, to leave the surface, to abandon external searching and enter an internal process. And this pattern is not comfortable. It demands something few are willing to give, real attention. And then we reach the most delicate point. If the kingdom is within, then access does not depend on external permission. It does not depend on validation. It does not depend on belonging. It depends on something far more unstable, consciousness. And consciousness cannot be standardized. It cannot be controlled. It cannot be easily replicated. This places this statement in a dangerous position because it potentially contains a form of liberation that does not pass through traditional structures. And everything that cannot be controlled tends to be softened, reinterpreted, or ignored over time. But you have already noticed something important. This statement never disappeared. It is still there, visible, untouched, like an open code that few choose to read deeply. And perhaps that is the most intriguing part of all. The truth does not need to be hidden. It only needs to remain misunderstood. Now, the final question is not theoretical. It is direct, almost uncomfortable. If the kingdom of God is within you, why are you still searching outside? And perhaps that is the key that changes everything.